Hi, this is Misconception, and I'm going to be going over the next Meet the Masters artist. His name is Fredrick Remington. He was an American artist who lived between 1861 and 1909. His artwork was realistic, or what they would call realism. So you'll have a PowerPoint with this video that you can show your students so that they can have a discussion about what they notice about his artwork. They'll be noticing a lot of cowboys, Indians, horses, desert scenery, and a lot of details. They should mention that it looks almost like a photo, which is why it is called realistic. The media you'll be using today is chalk, crayon, and paper. Techniques you'll be learning is tearing paper, cutting paper, and adding details. So, let's begin with what is in your box. You'll have a stack of magenta paper. I think the lower grades like kinder and the SDC class has a smaller magenta paper, and then the rest of the lower grade classes has a slightly bigger one. I believe this one's like 15 by 11 or something like that. Okay, so a stack of magenta paper, and then you'll also have a stack of black strips of paper that is the same length as the magenta paper. You'll also find some crayons in your box, as well as chalk. Bags of chalk. Okay. For this project, you'll also need some scissors and glue sticks. Along with all the art supplies, there will be a handout. This was specifically for kinder. I did not make any copies of the handouts this time around. I felt like projecting it on the screen was enough for my students, but I'll leave that up to your discretion. For the most part, it's just to show them how the landscape is and how to draw a cactus. So, we will begin the project. We're going to start by writing our name on the back of our magenta paper, because that's the one thing my students always forget. So we're going to write nice and big. And then I'm going to flip it over. Next, you're going to want to talk to your class about what kind of colors they notice in a sunset, because they're going to create a sunset on their magenta paper. Colors like blue, yellow, red, purple, and orange would be great. If they said green, I would probably steer them away from using green or brown or black. But these colors are fine. And then what you want them to do is to find the center of their magenta paper. What I teach my class is I put one finger on one end and another finger on the other end of the paper, and then I move them towards each other at the same speed. And that should get me about to the middle of the paper. Okay? So on the bottom middle of the paper, your students are going to draw a little dot or a circle. Okay? Like that. And then now they're going to start making kind of like a rainbow shape around the dot. Okay. So at this time, you probably want to go over the over how messy chalk can be, and how they only have to use the side of the chalk, and that they don't have to press very hard. The chalk can make a lot of like dust or debris, so they don't want to be rubbing this in too much and making all that extra chalk. Okay. So the students are going to do this until their rainbow reaches the edges of the paper. So it might take them a while. Again, I'm trying to do this very quickly. So theirs will probably be a little nicer than mine. And then you want them to reach all the way to the corners, okay? Not just the edges. Sorry, I should have said that. All the way to the corners. Okay, so once your students are happy with how their sunset looks, they can start putting their chalk away, because that's the only time they'll be using it. Okay, and they don't have to worry about the bottom half because it's going to be covered by the landscape, which is what we are going to be making right now. So with the long strip of black paper with one of them, we're going to make our landscape and create a horizon, which is where the sky and the land meet. You want to talk to your students about how in the desert the mountains are not pointed. They're flat, like a plateau. So we don't want to make mountains that are pointed. We want to make them flat. and that's called a plateau. They're going to be ripping this. So I just showed this on the screen, and they saw how there aren't any peaks or anything. So once they get that idea, they can start tearing their paper. And they want it to be really rough on the edges. It makes it look really natural, like rocks, which is nice. So if I have like a peak like that, maybe I might want to cut off the top to make it more like a plateau. Okay, so that by the time I'm done, it'll look like I have a bunch of ridges and plateaus. Okay, so they're going to want to get their glue stick and place glue on the bottom of the landscape. I would suggest not putting glue yet on the horizon part because you're going to be putting some detailed stuff on the back. So you're going to make sure that they line up the corners, and then they press down to secure the paper. Okay. Now for making teepees and a cactus. So their other long strip of black paper is going to get folded in half. And in half again. So like if you open it, there would be 4 pieces. We are going to use our scissors and cut down the middle fold. Okay, so now they have 2 pieces of black paper. Now I'm going to make my teepee. A teepee is a triangle shape, so I'm just going to cut out a triangle. Okay, so I have my teepees now, and then now I want to place them wherever I feel looks right. So maybe I want to put one down here. So I would get my glue stick, put some glue on, and then place that down like so. And then place my other teepee somewhere else, maybe right there. Okay. Now for my cactus. Or cacti, since we'll have multiple ones. So the handout suggested that they use their finger to kind of make the cactus shape, like making that. So with a pencil, they can trace their pointer and thumb finger. Okay. And then finish it off like that. Or they can add another little finger on the other side if they like. Okay. When they're happy with their shape, again, they're going to cut it out very carefully. And then they're going to decide where they think the cactus should go on their landscape. Okay. I think I want one here. And maybe one down here. Yeah. Okay. So now that I'm happy with where it is, I'm going to add some glue. There it is. Glue. Stick it on there. And then the last one. Okay. Like that. Your last step is to add some details using the crayons. So it's really important that they add the details because that is what Remington was known for, adding details to make it look realistic. So some things you can add is putting like the poles into the teepees. They can have some birds in the sky. And they can also add some thorns. I just broke my crayon. That's okay. Okay. When they're happy with what it looks like, they're done with their project. So here's one example. Here's another one that I made. So it will look pretty similar, but the students can put their teepees and cactus, wherever they like. Okay? If you have any questions for me, please email me, call me, talk to me during lunch, whichever one works best for you. I hope this was helpful and clear, and I hope your class enjoys it. Okay, bye.